My brother, Mark, dropped the framed photo on purpose. Glass shattered across the polished oak floor. A spiderweb of fractures over my future? Then my mother smiled and said, "Oh, honey, it's just a thing. You can always move back home." The whole table laughed. My brother laughed the loudest. I stood there, my hands clenched by my sides, wondering how a welcome could sound so much like a threat. I didn't say a word. I simply placed my fork down on the plate, the metallic clink swallowed by their amusement. I picked up my purse, my movements calm and measured, and walked toward the front door. Their laughter followed me out into the chilly Ohio night, a soundtrack to an ending I hadn't known I was writing. In the sterile silence of my rental car, my phone lit up. A text from my mother, asterisk. "We've decided it's best to sever all contact until you learn to take a joke." Asterisk. A small heart icon appeared beside it a moment later. Mark's reaction. I stared at the screen. My own reflection. A faint ghost against the words. Me fingers moved, typing a reply that was colder and harder than the glass on the floor. Asterisk. Request acknowledged. Asterisk. Then, before the engine was even on, my thumb found the familiar green icon of my banking app. I opened it. The screen's glow illuminated my face. Not with tears, but with a cold, calculating resolve. The numbers on the screen were no longer just numbers. They were chains. And I was about to find the key. Back in my apartment, 2,000 miles away, the Denver city lights glittered like scattered diamonds. The silence here was different. It wasn't an absence of love, it was the presence of peace. The weight in my chest wasn't sadness anymore. It was the sharp, clarifying edge of anger. This wasn't a messy family drama. It was a long-term financial heist. And I had been the willing, unsuspecting getaway driver. I opened my laptop. The cursor blinked on a spreadsheet I hadn't looked at in months. A neat, orderly ledger of my own exploitation. 2 rows stared back at me. 2 anchors dragging me down. First, my parents' mortgage. $1,800. It vanished from my bank account on the first of every month. I remembered the day I signed the papers. I was fresh out of college. My credit score a perfect, untouched monument to responsibility. It's just paperwork. Honey. My mother had cooed, her hand on my arm. Your good credit is a blessing for all of us. It's just to get us a better interest rate. We'll handle the payments. Of course, they never made a single one. Second, Mark's business loan. $700. A monthly tribute to his failing custom truck shop. A monument to his ego. It's a sure thing. Layla. He'd promised. All swagger and confidence. You'll get it all back. Plus interest. I just need your name to get it started. Family helps family. Right. $2,500. Every single month? For 3 years. That was $90,000. The price of my silence? The cost of being the responsible one. I scrolled through old emails and text messages. A digital archive of their manipulations. Asterisk. Just until Mark's business picks up. Asterisk. Asterisk. Your dad's health is so fragile. We can't handle the stress of bills. Asterisk. Asterisk. We'll pay you back next month. We promise. Asterisk. Next month never came. I wasn't a daughter. I was a recurring revenue stream. The broken frame wasn't an accident, it was a reminder of my place. You can build your own life. It said. But we own the foundation. My fingers moved across the keyboard. Each keystroke a precise, deliberate snip of a chord. I opened a new email. The recipients were my mother, my father, and my brother. Asterisk, asterisk. Subject asterisk. Asterisk. Termination of financial agreements. Asterisk, asterisk. Body asterisk, asterisk. As per your written request to sever all contact. This email serves as formal notification that I will be ceasing all voluntary payments for co-signed liabilities. Effective immediately. I will be contacting the financial institutions tomorrow morning to begin the official process of co-borrower release. No emotion. No explanation. Just cold, hard data. I hit send. The quiet times, swoosh times of the email leaving my outbox was the loudest sound I had ever heard. It was the sound of a cage door swinging open. Morning came. And with it, the firestorm. My phone began to vibrate against the granite countertop. Affrontique. Buzzing seizure that refused to stop. The first wave was from my mother. A string of voicemails. Her voice escalating from confused panic to weaponized grief. Layla. Honey. You need to call me. This has to be a mistake. Then. Your father's heart can't take this stress. The doctor said he needs to stay calm. Do you want to be responsible for what happens? After everything we have done for you, the words were hooks. Baited with years of conditioned guilt. The second wave was my father. He was a man of few words, preferring to let my mother fight his battles. He sent a single, devastating text message times. Your mother is crying. Asterisk. It was a tactical strike, designed to bypass logic and hit me directly in the heart. For a moment, it almost worked. An old, familiar ache twisted in my gut. The third wave was Mark. His attack was brutal and direct. A barrage of texts filled with the raw, unfiltered rage of a man whose allowance had just been cut off. Asterisk. You were always a selfish bitch. Sitting up there in your fancy Denver apartment judging us? You think you're better than everyone. Asterisk. Another followed instantly. Asterisk. You'll come crawling back when you're all alone up there. You'll see. You have no one. Asterisk. I read every message. I listened to every voicemail. But I didn't absorb them as attacks. I observed them as data. This was their playbook. The one they'd used for years to keep me in line. Emotional blackmail. Silent guilt. Vicious insults. I methodically took screenshots of everything, saving each one to a new folder on my desktop labeled Evidence. Then, with a strange sense of calm, I opened my contacts. Mother. Block. Father. Block. Mark. Block. The silence that followed was absolute. It was the clean, quiet hum of a server that has just been unplugged from a malicious network. The next day, I walked into the downtown branch of Mountain Ridge Bank. The air was cool and smelled of clean paper and quiet money. Polished marble floors reflected the soft, recessed lighting. It was a world away from the chaotic, emotionally charged atmosphere of my family's home. The building itself felt like an ally. I was shown to a quiet office where a man named Mr. Anya stood to greet me. He was in his 50s, with kind eyes and a suit, so perfectly tailored, it seemed to radiate competence. Miss Evans, he said, his handshake firm and reassuring. I reviewed the preliminary notes on your call. Please, have a seat. I didn't cry. I didn't plead. I opened the folder I had prepared and laid it on his desk. I'm here to initiate a co-borrower release for 2 loans. I stated, my voice even. A mortgage and a business loan. I pushed the documents across the desk, the original loan agreements. A 3-year history of payments drawn directly from my personal account, and the printouts of the screenshots I had taken the day before. Mr. Anya reviewed everything in silence. He read my mother's pleading texts and Mark's venomous insults. He traced the lines of my bank statements with his finger, his expression becoming more serious with each page. He finally looked up, his gaze direct and filled with a gravity that validated everything I had been feeling. Miss Evans, he said slowly, his voice low and clear. What you've been experiencing has a name. It's called financial abuse. Hearing those words from a professional, in that quiet, official room, was like a physical weight being lifted from my shoulders. I wasn't being dramatic. I wasn't being sensitive. I was a victim of a documented pattern of exploitation. The system was now on my side. The evidence you've provided is comprehensive, he continued, tapping the folder, proving you hold no financial interest or practical use of these assets while being the sole party making payments. Gives us a very strong case for a liability release. He picked up his phone. Let's get the paperwork started. For the next hour, I signed my name on forms, each signature feeling like I was cutting another invisible string. When he took out a heavy, official stamp and brought it down on the final page, the thud echoed in the quiet room. It was the sound of a final, decisive judgment. 3 days passed in a state of quiet liberation. I felt lighter, as if I'd been walking against a strong wind my entire life, and it had finally, suddenly, stopped. Then, my phone rang. It was Mr. Anya. His professional warmth was gone, replaced by a tone of clipped urgency. Layla, I need you to come into the bank if you can, he said. We've encountered a significant issue with the business loan for Mark Evans. An hour later, I was back in his office. The air was tense. He had a single document on his desk, encased in a plastic sleeve. During the final review, he began. Our fraud department flagged the original application for your brother's loan. Standard procedure is to pull the original wet ink signature pages from the vault. He slid the document across the desk. It was the signature page from 5 years ago. There, next to Mark's sprawling, arrogant signature, was my name. Except, it wasn't my signature. The slant was wrong. The loop of the L was too tight. It was a close, but clumsy forgery. Your brother signed your name. Layla. Mr. Anya said quietly. He committed a crime inside our bank. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just about emotional manipulation anymore. This was a felony. The bank is legally obligated to report this to the authorities, he explained, his eyes holding mine. Forgery and bank fraud carry a prison sentence. He let the words hang in the air, heavy and suffocating. Then he presented the choice. The final, brutal test of my resolve. However, he said, choosing his words with care, the fraud department has noted that the bank's primary interest is in recovering its funds. If the outstanding principal on the loan $25,000 were to be paid in full, immediately, the impetus to file a criminal report would be significantly lessened. The trap was laid. They had found one last way to make his crime my responsibility. The bank was offering me a deal: pay $25,000 to buy my brother's freedom, or step aside and let the law send him to prison. My family's fate was once again in my hands. That night, my apartment building's intercom buzzed with a violent, insistent shriek. I looked at the small video screen. It was them, my mother and Mark, standing in the sterile, brightly lit lobby. Their faces pale and gaunt with panic. They had driven 2,000 miles. Layla. Pick up. Mark's voice crackled through the speaker, thin and desperate. You have to let us in. The bank called Dad. They told him everything. They said you have to pay it off, or they're going to the police. His voice broke. You can't let them send me to prison. Layla. You can't. My mother shoved him aside. Her face pressed close to the camera. Her eyes were wild. He is your brother, she shrieked, her voice echoing in the lobby. We are your family. You have savings. We know you do. You have to fix this. This is what you do. You fix things. The old Layla would have buzzed them in. The old Layla would have drained her savings account. The old Layla would have sacrificed her future on the altar of their mistakes one last time. But the old Layla was gone. I took a slow, steadying breath. I walked to my kitchen counter, picked up my phone, and pressed the record button on the voice memo app. I placed it directly next to the intercom speaker. Then, I pressed the talk button. My voice, when it came out, was calm and clear, amplified into the hallway where they stood. "Why are you here?" I asked. "To get the money," Mark yelled. "What do you think? $25,000. You have to give it to us. You came here demanding I pay $25,000 to erase a crime, times you times committed." I stated. Each word, a carefully placed stone. For my entire adult life, I was an asset. I was a credit score. I was a safety net you could jump on whenever you fell. I paused, letting the silence stretch. I could see them on the screen, their expressions shifting from righteous anger to confusion. "You were right," I continued, my voice as cold and clear as glass. "Family does help family. But you are not my family anymore. You are just liabilities." I released the button. The connection cut, their faces on the screen contorted with disbelief, then rage. Mark slammed his fist against the glass door of the lobby. My mother started screaming my name. But I had already disconnected. I had already made another call. I watched on the monitor as 2 building security guards appeared. I watched them calmly but firmly escort my screaming mother and my shell-shocked brother out of the building and into the cold Denver night. They were powerless. They were outside. And I was safe. Inside, watching the last pieces of my old life get swept away like trash. The consequences were not loud, but they were absolute. An automated email from Mr. 50, Anya, a week later confirmed the bank had proceeded as required by law. Months after that, a distant aunt I barely spoke to mentioned in a holiday text that Mark had taken a plea deal. No prison time, but a felony record that would follow him forever. The custom truck shop was a memory, and he was working for cash under the table. My parents, without my financial support, had to sell the house. The house I had paid for and downsize to a small rental on the other side of town. My life, in contrast, blossomed in the silence. The extra $2,500 a month flowed into my savings, my retirement fund, my travel account. I took a trip to Italy. I bought a new car with cash at my architecture firm. Freed from the constant, low-grade stress, my work sharpened. I was given the lead on a major downtown project and earned a promotion. My world became smaller, but infinitely more genuine. It was filled with friends who asked how I was doing and actually listened to the answer. It was quiet evenings on my balcony, watching the skyline that was truly mine, unbroken and clear. One afternoon, I received one final text from Mark, from a number I didn't recognize. "I hope you're happy. You ruined us." Asterisk. I looked at the words. A ghost of the old guilt tried to surface. A faint, familiar whisper, but it found no purchase. There was nothing left for it to cling to. I deleted the message and blocked the number. Standing on my balcony, breathing in the crisp, clean mountain air, I finally understood I hadn't ruined them. I had simply stopped letting them ruin me. Freedom wasn't about winning. It was about refusing to play a game you were never meant to win. If you've ever had to draw a line in the sand to reclaim your future, you know how hard that first step is. Share your story of setting a boundary below, and subscribe for more stories about the power of walking away